Sun's too damn bright today. I can't even get the camera to focus with the lighting. Anyways, hello, welcome back to Hunter Tuned. Today we're actually gonna go work on Black Betty, and we're gonna try to get some of the stuff prepped for the roll cage. I got a lot of the stuff in one of the previous videos, yanked out of the car. I pulled the dash and like the seats and stuff like that, the carpet. And now it's over at my buddy Adam's shop, and we have to take out some of the other small things. So we're gonna take all the wiring out of the car, probably all the brake lines, fuel lines, you know, just the stuff that we're gonna kind of throw out. So yeah, we're gonna do that, pick up when we get there. And yeah, got the old D-Max out. It's fucking 40 something degrees today. Everything's melting. Oh, just blowing the tires off, let me tell you what. Alrighty guys, so we are out at Adam's right now, and I'm working on the Mustang. I was actually out here yesterday a little bit, just kind of pulling a lot of stuff out of the thing. I did pull pretty much the majority of the interior on one of the last videos of this car, and then brought it out here and just had some issues with just being able to get out here and stuff like that. So yesterday and now today I'm going to be working on it some more. I already pulled out a ton of stuff out of this thing. This is pretty much all the interior wiring harnesses, the trunk harness, all the harnesses that run into the engine bay, like the horns, the wiper assembly, wiper motor, stuff like that. Just stuff I'm really not going to be using at all. So I mean, like I said, I got most of the stuff pulled out of the engine bay here, so just kind of working along. I've still got to yank out my like ABS module box. I'm going to cut all the brake lines out of the car. I'm going to cut all this hydro boost stuff out of the car, and we're just going to go with you know, normal brake setup instead of the hydro boost. So I'm literally just cutting this stuff out of here and throwing it out because I'm not going to be using it. I initially was planning on using it, but I think what I'm going to do with this car instead is we're going to go electric water pump and just run an alternator off the crank. So I was going to run a big accessory drive with a power steering pump and stuff like that, but I don't know how a power steering pump is really going to do at 8,000 RPM. Plus, the less stuff on the accessory drive, I think the better, because then you'll have less chance of belt flinging off and stuff like that. So I'm going to just try to do as little as possible with this thing and just kind of go race car, you know? So this is the interior currently. Just got some junk on the ground and stuff like that that I got to clean up. I don't know if we're really going to be taking out like the sound deadening and stuff like that. I know that's kind of a pain in the ass. I might do it, I might not, depending on how Adam wants to do the cage. So Adam is helping me with the cage, and you guys had seen the Jeep that's outside that I just showed you. That truck we actually did tune. I tuned for him for, it's just a naturally aspirated LS, made great horsepower, and yeah, what we're doing is we're kind of doing some horse trading back and forth, and I'm helping him turbo his Jeep, and he's going to help me put a roll cage in this thing. So we have a bunch of tubing. So we have a bunch of tubing sitting here that he picked up, and we're going to, he's got these like plates right here. These are just 6x6 that we'll have to cut 6x6 plates to, you know, mount the main hoop and stuff like that. All the brace points to the floor, we have to have those plates. So we're going to be cutting our own plates, and the tubing here, like I said, all going to be bent to the car. I'm not buying a kit. I did buy a kit the last time I did on the Fox body, and there was just a lot of gaps and stuff like that, and he's gonna He's done a ton of roll cages, a ton of race cars and stuff like that. I mean, just sitting here, I think today alone, we're putting, or he's putting some floor pans in this Camaro, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, finishing up on this job here, and then we're gonna put the cage in my car after this. So he's always working on hot rods, doing cool stuff out here, and yeah, I'm glad he's helping me out. Super clean OBS Chevy. You know anybody that's looking for one? I don't know what he wants for this thing, but I think it's for sale. So yeah, here we are with the rest of the interior that I got to deal with. I did get a Kirky seat for the car, so we're gonna actually mount this seat to the cage somehow. So he's gonna build the cage and then build you know, a seat mount and stuff for this. So the seat's actually gonna be tied into the cage, and the steering column is also gonna be tied into the cage. I'm actually not gonna be using this big old bulky heavy factory steering column, just because it's just big, bulky, and heavy, and probably not worth a damn. So we're gonna be getting rid of this. I just got to unbolt it from the shaft coming through the firewall there. Just should be just one bolt and it should slide off. And then this thing I will be either throwing out or selling. I'm actually selling a lot of this stuff to a guy that reached out. He's actually got a drag car that he's converting back to a street car. So I have a street car and I'm converting it into a drag car. So it kind of works out. He's actually buying the majority of this stuff from me, along with some of the stuff that I have out at my shop. And here is my dash that we're going to be integrating. I'm still going to run all the interior panels in the car, including the factory dash, but we're going to gut the dash. So it's not going to have any of the wiring in there. Pretty much none of the, it's just going to be like the outer shell of the dash, so it kind of gives the image of, you know, a Mustang. And then this is my steering shaft that we're going to be running to. This is a Sweet Manufacturing, and this is it's a race car steering column that we're going to be running. It's fully adjustable, telescoping in and out, kind of figure out wherever I want to put it. I can, and I can pop the steering wheel on and off very easily, so when I'm getting in and out of the car with the roll cage, it'll be a lot nicer getting in and out of it. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do for a throttle cable. I don't think the factory one is going to work. It doesn't seem to be nowhere near long enough. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the pedal setup yet. If I'm just going to keep the factory pedals, or if I'm going to go with like an aftermarket pedal setup. Adam wants me to kind of go with what he had in his race truck, which was on Street Outlaws. It's a red Chevy C10 and super fast, 7-second truck, gnarly. He told me that it's good to have a pedal setup in the car that has like they're like pretty much just like a rod that you can put your foot back on, where you can pull back and you know, shut the throttle if you need to, kind of thing. I think that's like a safety thing that you need to incorporate in some of these cars. I don't know if the factory pedal is going to pass. I don't know how any of that stuff works, but he says it's a good idea to get those pedals. They're like $100. So they're not super expensive, but then again, I don't know how I'm going to feel about driving with a rod for a pedal instead of an actual like pedal. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, I'm going to be I'm going to be taking out this big old brake booster here, and we'll be setting that aside. So that'll be out of the way. And then, yeah, the steering column. So I'm going to get to that, pull those things out, and then I'll let you guys know what I get from there, or how I get from there. The only wiring that I'll probably leave in the car is the door panels here are power, which kind of sucks. So power window, I had these on my Fox body too. They were power, and all I did was run like I ran like a power feed into one of the harnesses that goes through the door, and I found out what wire controls up and down. And I may do that with this one as well, just so I can get the windows to go up and down with power still, because I would probably rather just run a wire or two and run it to a switch or something like that, so I can have functioning windows still. Because if I want to convert the car to a manual you know, crank window, I feel like that's just going to be a lot more work than running a wire or two. And then the steering rack as well, we were debating on changing it out for a manual rack because this is a power rack with that Hydro Boost system. So on my Fox body, all I did was I looped the lines. Actually, I didn't even loop them. I just left them wide open. And I ran that car for a couple of years, and it's still running to this day with that rack still in it with the lines just cut right off. No issues with it. But a manual rack is definitely going to steer a little bit easier. I don't know if I'm going to change a rack. I'll probably leave it for now, honestly, and just like loop the lines because this car is really set up well currently with alignment and everything like that. And then we'll just adapt that new steering column onto what I have here. But I may change it to a manual rack later, but I don't know if I'm going to do it quite yet. So yeah, I'm going to yank this stuff out of here quick and I'll pick back up in a minute. Alrighty guys, so I am making some progress. I got the old frickin' Hydro Boost thing out of there. So that thing is a frickin' pig, pretty heavy. And then I also got the steering column out of it. That was pretty easy, it was just one bolt. And then the whole thing just kind of slid right off. Obviously it's not that easy when everything else is in the car, but yeah. And then to take out that thing, I just had to remove the 4 bolts around where the pedal assembly is, and then pop the pin that holds the brake pedal to the rod that comes out of that brake cylinder. And now I'm proceeding to remove all these lines. These are all the brake lines. So I'm going to take these out all the way to that ABS module and then yank that module out and then keep working back on the lines. I'm going to put all new lines in this car when we put the new brake setup in it. Probably go with like the copper hard line for all of it. And then we'll put a line lock in there somewhere as well. So I'm gonna keep hacking away here, get the car up in the air, and get to keep on ripping keep ripping some brakes out of this thing. All right, so ABS module is out now. Getting a lot more clear up here. Still got to get this power steering loop line out of here, which requires me to take the bumper off, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm proceeding to remove all these lines out of the car. So these are all the brake lines and stuff that run back. And I'm drilling out the rivets because these little brackets are riveted onto the body. So I'm running down the line here, drilling out the rivets. Like here's another rivet right there that I'll drill out. And then those are just the brackets that hold all these lines. We'll just keep running back until all these lines are out of the car. Probably leave the e-brake cables in. Yeah, not sure, but quite a few lines left to go. So we're gonna keep pulling these off. All right guys, so I threw the tires back on. I got everything done. I got all the lines out of the car. I got a whole pile of shit sitting over here now. So that's just what I ripped out here in the last hour. Just frickin' all the lines, brake lines, that brake booster, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully soon she'll be coming together and getting a cage. I'm hoping by next week we're going to be burning some pipe into this thing and getting the cage figured out. And then also want to cut out the trunk area back here, just kind of cut pretty much along the frame rail probably, and then just put like a piece of sheet aluminum or something so I can mount my fuel cell down, put the weight as low as possible. Kind of get the weight like slung down here so the fuel cell is low. Then I can run my lines, or I can frickin' put it up higher. I don't know exactly where I want to put the fuel cell yet, but I pretty much want to cut out the trunk area of the car. And these lines right here, this is actually the airbag line because this car has bags in the springs. So that's what these lines are for. I didn't know what they were for the longest time, but I figured it out. Don't know what I'm going to do with those, if I'm going to keep them or not, what I'm going to do. So probably have to figure that out. So yeah, fuel, we got to get the fuel figured out where we're going to mount that tank. I'm going to have to get a prop valve, I'm sure, for the brakes. I did get line lock. Car actually had one on it already, so probably going to reuse this if I can. Just got power wires. I've never actually hooked up a line lock, so that's something that we'll have to figure out. And then the dash I'm probably going to bring home and possibly gut the dash. Might make a video on that if you guys are interested. And then obviously I have the motor and tranny in here already. I just have to figure out my shifter, because I don't think I have the cables to hook onto the tranny. I just have the cable itself, so I got to get the hardware and the bracket to bolt onto the pan and stuff like that for the shifter. Got to figure that out. My converter spacing is good, but I have a... So like, that's where the converter is right now, and then when you suck it tight up to the flywheel, there's a spacer in between here because I put the little snout spacer that goes on the crankshaft, not the one that bolts on, but the one that just slips in. I put that in there because the hole was too big on this flywheel. So I put that spacer in there and it brought it out a little bit so the converter had, you know, its middle ground. So I put that in there, and now when I try to butt it up to the flywheel, it hits the face of the spacer. So I can only go up to that point. So I got to shim, I think I got to put like a washer in between the flywheel and the converter. So I got to figure that out too. Yeah. But she's coming together, guys. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully soon we'll keep knocking some stuff out with this thing and getting her ready to race. The weather's really kind of turning here. It's getting nice outside, and I'm excited to have a hot rod again. So, thanks for watching the video. Have a great night and a better tomorrow.